Joining us now in the Hyundai Texans Radio studio, Coach DeMeco Ryans. Coach, great to see you. And I know we have a lot to talk about with the game against the Ravens, but it's Colts week, and finally I have a coach here who understands my pain and my feeling about the horseshoe. Coach, I'm so happy that you're here.
Oh, happy to be here with you guys, and for me too, it's Colts week. Can't wait.
He's been waiting for this. Like all afternoon, he's been waiting for you to walk in here, Coach, because you do understand. And look, when you're in a division, you with 49ers, Seahawks, Rams, Cardinals, every game matters a little bit. Seahawks, because there's been some recent history. But when you were playing, what do you remember about taking on the Colts when you first got here in 2006?
Right, I remember with the Colts, it was always a tough out. Right, you had one of the best quarterbacks to play the game in Peyton Manning, so it was always a tough matchup. And I always remember when we finally beat the Colts. Right, that was a big deal. But it's always they're a really good opponent, but their rivalry definitely means a little bit more when you beat the Colts.
All right, we'll get more into that later. Now, with the Ravens game, I know that you still have more things to review and maybe go over with the team, but despite the fact that you lost the game, there were some things that you can take moving forward. Can you share some of those things with us?
Yeah, for sure. It was a lot of learning lessons for us. I think our guys did some things really well. When you look, starting with our offense, right, when the protection was good and we were on it, like seeing CJ play the position, putting the ball exactly where it needed to be. I mean, he can operate with precision. Just have to make sure he's comfortable and all the other 10 guys around him are playing the best that they can play, playing at a top level so he can make those throws that he made in the game. So the things to clean up with the running game, I think we can run it better. We have to give them more opportunities, and we will. Right? And I think Damian can be better. We just had to give him more touches to allow him to get going, and also having a good complement there with motor. And when you go to the defensive side of the ball, I think our guys, they flew around. They were swarming. They to watch Will Anderson, to watch Jonathan Grenard, to watch both of those guys on the edge, like that was awesome to see, the relentless mindset that they brought to the game. And now overall, we attacked the ball. We got 2 takeaways. Now the thing we can clean up on defense is just some of the miscues in the red zone, where it's just alignment and communication. And so when I look at the game, all of the mistakes are fixable. Right? We just have to learn from it and make sure that we fix them and continue to move on and grow from it.
Coach, a lot of us talk about this in theory. We talk about the game slowing down. You went through that. You experienced it as a player. Is that a truth? The game slows down because you've been playing it at a high level, a high rate of speed. Obviously, preseason is different than regular season. But you had a number of rookies out there that were playing their first NFL action. And it felt like, I would imagine for them, the speed went way up. For you as a player, is that true? Did the game slow down for you? And when did it happen? And how can you share that? And when do you share that with your players?
It's the speed of the game. Anytime it's your first. I remember my first high school game when I first played varsity. It was a little faster than the freshman. And then I go to college. My first college game, I was like, what is going on out here? Why? And so each level, and the same at the NFL level, right? I remember like OTA practices out here for my first time. I'm like, wow, these offensive linemen are so fast. So, but, as you continue to play, everything really, it does slow down. And some guys, it takes a couple games into the year, and they figure it out, pretty quickly. But that first game is always a little faster, guys. You think but you really don't know until you actually go through it. And but our rookies, I thought we had a lot of rookies out there playing for the first time, and I thought those guys did really well for their first outing.
Well, game 1 to game 2 improvement, we talk about that kind of thing a lot. And with C.J. Stroud and the passing attack, Coach, they played in the preseason, but there he is throwing it over 40 times in one afternoon. You hadn't done that yet. You do it in practice sometimes, but it's not quite the same thing. So what do you expect as you get ready for week 2 in terms of getting better?
Yeah, I expect, like I said earlier, like just with the guys that are playing around him, just for that to be better. I think we can help, CJ when it comes to running the ball more effectively. And I think that opens up the pass game even more. But I would see CJ, this week, just the pre-snap operations, just coming out of the huddle quicker, right? Making those decisions quicker. But, man, I credit to CJ, man, for his first game against the Ravens at their place. Like, the kid didn't blink. He made some really tough throws, and I'm proud of him for his first game.
Coach, you were able to get a lot of pressure on Lamar in different ways. Sometimes you just rush 4 and they got there. Sometimes you had different looks and that got there. What was kind of working with your defensive front yesterday on one hand, and then it's Lamar Jackson getting back there is one thing, but then finishing the play ends up being another. How difficult was it for the guys? Like, hey, he's pretty strong, not to mention he's pretty quick too, but kind of just your pass rush and just getting after Lamar yesterday.
Yeah, that philosophy with our pass rush, it all starts with the four down guys. If we can do it with 4 guys, like I would love to operate that way, give more guys in coverage to make him truly make a bad decision. So our 4 guys, they rush really well. We can continue to tighten that up with our interior rush at the tackle position. We can rush better, all right, together. But I thought the guys on the edge did a good job of not only rushing Lamar, but when he did, like break contain and get out, like the speed and the effort at which they went out and they got him down and didn't allow it to becoming an explosive play. Like it's a credit to those guys because you have to rush for a pretty long time when you're playing mobile quarterback, especially a guy like Lamar, and our guys did a really good job of containing him.
We know Anthony Richardson had to leave the game yesterday, but let's talk about him for a second here because he's not Lamar Jackson, but how does having faced Lamar Jackson now help you get ready for what you might face in week 2?
Right. It helps a lot because some of your rules when it comes to the quarterback run plays like that just carries over for another week. So it is something that we've already worked for. We've been working on it for a while now. So our guys can continue to keep their same rules and just be sound, and we can tighten up what we had against Lamar, be the same thing versus Anthony, right? He's going to get out, right? Are you going to be relentless in that rush and pursuit again this week?
He's huge, by the way. This just in.
He's like Derrick Henry play quarterback.
It's unbelievable to look at how big he is, which presents a different challenge. Lamar's got the quickness, but Anthony's obviously got size. But your rookie defensive end coach, Will Anderson Jr. and John Grenard yesterday, we talked a little bit about that. But focus on Will here. His relentless nature to the quarterback, it might be his superpower. I try and figure out what each player's superpower is. It might be that. Like, he never gives up on a play, and that paid off, obviously, to go get his sack. What did you see in the growth of Will yesterday throughout that game, and obviously what you've seen from the time he's gotten here?
It's very interesting with Will. You know, his rookie first game, so you have those nervous jitters. So we were talking Saturday night, and he comes up to me like, Coach, how was it your first game? Like, he wants to know. Like, how? It's like, Will, you just go do what you've been doing in practice. And for you, you don't have to worry about anything. And that's what he did, and it's awesome to see it, like what he does every day. Yeah. It showed up in the game. And it doesn't, like with the pass rush, like you have to have that mindset that you're going to make every play, and you're always – what I like about it, he's always moving towards the quarterback. And that was something that you saw with Nick Bosa. It wasn't always fancy, but it was a relentless mindset. He was explosive, but he always was moving to the quarterback, and that's similar to what Will brings. Yeah.
Coach, what about the ability to – look, I know you wanted a different result, but you did get some good moments performance-wise out of players that weren't really part of the mix when you started training camp. They might have been here. In the case of Patterson, he's playing center the whole way for you. You've got Josh Jones out there. Who was he when we started camp? And then you're looking at the safeties in the second half. You know, Jimmy Ward and Jalen Petrie are your safeties, but Eric Murray and MJ are also your safeties, and they had to play the bulk of the action after halftime.
Right. It was a very interesting game with who we were out there with. It's not the guy, and it's never how you want it, right? And that's something you always have to adapt and adjust in this league with injuries and things that happen. But I'm proud of the guys. Like Josh Jones, he hadn't been here, I think, 2 weeks. And he steps in, he's starting at guard for us, and he's been playing tackle his career. So just unselfish by him to step in, learn the guard position. I thought he played well for us. You look at our safeties, it's probably one of our strongest positions on the team. So MJ and E. Murray, they played a lot of football. So very confident in those guys and the way they went out and performed. They played really well. They tackled well. They were flying all over the field. So, and then Patterson, right? Nobody talks much about him, but a rookie to step in at a very critical position, that center position, right, very critical position. He didn't blink, right? He stepped in. He played really solid for us. So the more we can continue to build the depth of our team, because, look, you don't know when your number is called, and you have to be ready. And that it showed on Sunday that we have guys who are ready.
Coach, I asked you earlier about the game slowing down for you as a player. How was it yesterday for you as a coach? And I know you did the preseason games, but now it's regular season. How was it for you as a coach, kind of with all the decision-making and things that you had to do yesterday? How was it? Did the game sort of slow down as you went through it, or was it just fast all the way through? It's
high intensity all the way through. just locked in all the way through, man. It was fun. My adrenaline was pumping. Like it was intense. I'm locked in on every play, and it was very, very fun moment for me. First game, I always remember, that moment, special moment. First time head coach. Yeah. Unfortunate that we, didn't come out on top, but I thought just the flow of the game, the decisions, got a chance to throw the challenge flag. Didn't work out, but just going through all those, probably called too many timeouts, but I had to call some timeouts there. And it all, just to get the flow of a little bit of everything that happened, conversing with the referees. So it was a good process.
So the mindset of going for it on fourth down, you went for it twice in your end of the field. And are you going to do it again this week? I'm not going to ask you about that, but the mindset of doing it, is that going to be a consistent thing, or will it depend on situations and the opponent and how things are going overall?
Right, I think it depends on the situation and the opponents and how we were. I just knew going into that game, and I told our team this Saturday night, man, I'm going to be aggressive with how I let them know that, and it came up in the game at that moment, and I felt like we would be able to make a play, and we didn't. And I told the guys I'll live with that again because I feel like that's the right call in a tough environment going against Lamar Jackson, a tough out. Like, we have to try to sustain drives, right, and keep the ball away from him as much as possible. And I felt like if we converted, both of those 4th and 1s, then we increase our chances of winning that game drastically.
Coach, I've talked about this a little bit as it pertains to coaching. When you get into coaching, I'm sure you got into coaching with the thought of, one day you're going to be a head coach, but you spend a lot of time defense. You're learning schemes, you're teaching techniques, those kind of things. Then you become a head coach, and then the situational aspect of being a head coach becomes real. I mean, as my daughter said, every play is a different situation, which makes a lot of sense. But how much time do you spend during a week kind of going through situations that could pop up in a game clock management, all that? How much time do you spend during a week kind of on all of that?
Oh, yeah, man. I take a day like Friday. It's a lighter day when it comes to practice, shorter day for us. So I take a lot of my time on Friday, a few hours out of Friday, and I go back and look at situations from other games that happen around the league, because you can always learn from all these situations and they pop up all the time. Right. So I'm always studying those situations on Friday and rehashing them again on Saturday, just so when they come up in a game, there's so many different things that can happen. But I'm aware, and I have other guys on the headset that are aware as well, that we can all talk about it and be on the right, make the right decision at the right time.
Coach, what's it going to take to run the ball better? I know you want to do that more often and more productively, so what's that going to take?
Yeah, it's going to take a commitment to running it more and just dialing up, even when it doesn't look pretty. If it's 2 or 3, we just have to stay after it, a little bit more. I think we got away from it there in the game, and, the score kind of dictates that as well. We're trying to throw it to create some explosives, but we have to give DP and motors more opportunities, and I think they can help us. They can make some explosive plays for us, so we'll give them those opportunities.
We talked about Will. I don't know how much we've talked a little bit about CJ, but you went back and you looked at the film, Coach, and looked at CJ's performance. What were your overall thoughts after you got done watching?
Yeah, for CJ, I mean, I thought that the good part about what he did was when he delivered the ball and the pocket was clean, right, and the receivers were at the right depth of the route, everyone was where they were supposed to be. Like, there is no throw, CJ can't make. Like, the ball was there, and I'm encouraged by that, encouraged by his decision-making. And there's still, as a young quarterback, there are still things that he can learn from and grow from, but the good was really good. We were able to drive the ball. Now we have to make sure we finish, right, finish in the red zone with touchdowns, eliminate some of the negative plays. But I think, one thing about, CJ is he knows it, right? Right after the game, he knows it, like, Coach, I'm going to be better. And that was a great learning experience from him. And that's what I saw from him in college, right? I saw growth from game 1 to his last game. I continue to see growth throughout the season. I've seen growth through OTA's training camp. This was his first outing. There's a lot of positive things, to to work off of, and he'll improve where he needs to improve.
We had ND on the air this morning. Johnny asked him this question, so I'll ask you this. What about week 1 to week 2? You play a full game because in the preseason, you're not playing full games, most of the players, right? So you play a full game. What does the body feel like after this game, and how do you get it back quickly so you're good to go for week 2?
Oh, yeah, this is one of the rough – this is one of those rough weeks, right? It's first time you played over 60 plays. Guys are definitely feeling it a little bit. You can see it in the meetings. Guys are a little, slow. They're dragging a little bit. But it's just attacking the recovery process. Like when it comes to taking care of your legs, getting in the cold tubs, whatever that recovery looks like for each individual, it's really attacking it this week, making sure we have a good, clean, crisp practice, and they'll be ready to go next week.
Coach, Sunday, I don't know if you know this is your first home regular season game. How do you feel about that, taking on the Colts here, walking in front of a home crowd? It's going to be really excited to see you, the staff, everybody for the first time. You kind of thought through the emotions of that opportunity on Sunday?
I mean, it's going to be electric. I sense it. I sense how, electric our crowd is going to be. The energy is going to be there. Man, how loud is it going to be? That's one thing I'm waiting to see. When it comes to third down, our defense is out there. How loud are our fans going to be? Because we need them to be loud to create that home field advantage. And I definitely take a moment to take it all in and just, survey the crowd and see all the support that we have here in Houston. I know our fans are going to represent, and we definitely need everyone to come out and give us that encouragement that we need.
In your press conference, you talked about 2011 third down, how loud it got here. And you remember that video you guys did on defense where you put the hoods on? It was like this video game takeoff. I think it was Assassin's Creed or something. You're all putting the hood on, everybody, you and then Barwin.
I haven't seen this. I didn't see this.
It was awesome. We'd go on the video board when the defense took the field, and there was something really special about that, especially that D, which showed such great improvement.
Right. Hopefully we have something like that. We'll see how
we got some stuff cooked up.
See how our game day crew do. have it all set up. But I remember that Bulls on Parade type thing, theme music, whatever it may be. Thinking each team kind of morphs into their own identity and what they bring. So it'll be cool to see how our atmosphere is with this defense, coming on third downs this year.
The flip side of that is it's loud when you're on the ball. I can imagine it was loud. So communication becomes a big deal, Coach, does it not?
For sure. That's huge. That's one thing that we can clean up definitely from Baltimore as well, just our communication on defense. Some of the miscues of when they actually scored a touchdown on us, we weren't clean on our communication and alignment. So I was just telling the guys in a few meetings there, let's correct what we can correct.
Yeah.
We can align properly. We can get everybody on the same page with communication, and then let's see what happens.
So let's talk about the division for a moment, because all the divisions share this. And I feel like more players are signed by teams within each division because you see them more than anybody else, right? You're seeing them when you play them. You're seeing them on tape when you're playing somebody else because they played them. So you see them all the time. And nobody's scared of each other in the division, right? The Rams go to Seattle yesterday and they win. And a lot of people thought Seattle was definitely going to win that game. Who knows? But tell me about the division and why it's special to face these teams.
Yeah, the division is special, like you said, because you know these teams inside and out. So you've gone against them twice. You know the players. You know what to expect. And then you don't see much change, offensively, defensively. We know the schemes. We know, best man win. And they're some of the most physical games, right? And some of the best games are in the division just because you know your opponent so well. You're not going to trick them much with some surprise. They know what you play. They know how you play. They know your rules. Now it's just who's made the best man win.
Coach, you were the defensive coordinator of the 49ers back in 21. You played the Colts. Can you take anything out of that, or has there been so much change since then that you just can't even rely on that from what you did a couple of years ago?
Yeah, it's been a complete –
2 years is like 20 years ago.
Yeah, it is. Right? But I know, playing against Coach Shane Steichen and when he was with the Eagles, played those guys 2 times past year. So similar scheme, seeing that he knows, our style of defense and how we operate. So it shouldn't be many surprises, but I feel like it'll be a really, tough game on both sides.
All right, so, Coach, the Amegy Bank Ask Coach question of the week. We're in the division. We got a big rivalry with the Colts. I know who your rival was at Alabama. Vaguely familiar with that. But Bessemer, Alabama, high school. Who was the biggest rival? Tell me a story or two about it.
Oh, that's a good one. That's easy. So my high school was just Lanier High School in Bessemer, Alabama, and our biggest rival was Hoover High School.
Oh, yeah.
So Hoover High, back in the day, long time ago, they had this TV program called Two-A-Days on MTV. Yeah, so it was a crosstown rivalry. They were literally like 10 to 15 minutes away. Always played them the first game of the season. So we beat
First game?
Yeah, first game right out of the gates.
Wow.
So we beat them my senior year. We beat them the first game of the year, then come back. We're in the third round of the playoffs, and we had a heartbreaking loss there to Hoover in the third round. Young quarterback at his time, sophomore John Parker Wilson. He goes on, goes on to play at University of Alabama.
He was the quarterback for Hoover.
He was the quarterback for Hoover at that time.
Wow.
So, a lot of great memories there.
Why is it that so many guys in the NFL harken back to high school, even more than college, it seems? What is it about high school ball?
It's high school. It's like those are guys you grew up with. It's like those bonds are tighter because with the high school teams, like, man, I know we've been going to elementary school together through middle school. Like you spent so much time with those guys, and when you're truly like, I'm here for my city, and everybody is from the same area. And it just means a little bit more, a lot of pride. Friday Night Lights is big time. Everybody's at the high school game. It's fun times, but the high school memories, you never forget those.
You played a lot of games, have been in a lot of games since. I would imagine that you can remember nearly every single play from that game. I bet you do. Yeah. I bet you probably can still see it.
I do. You definitely remember that. I remember preparing, remember those plays, the ones I missed. Still haunts me to this day.
Well, hoping for great memories from Sunday when you take on the Colts at noon in the home opener. Thanks a lot, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you, guys.